Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 107, noes 0.
The bill is passed. Mr. Morelli.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could I get a little order in the House?
Ladies and gentlemen, break up the crowds. Have your seats. Quiet enough for you, Mr. Morelli?
I think we're
Okay.
we're getting it. Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, colleagues. We're now about to begin to take up our domestic violence package this afternoon, and if I can give the first four bills that we'll take up in this order. We're going to begin with calendar number 10 on page 6 by Ms. Weinstein. We will follow that with calendar number 16, also on page 6 of the main calendar by Ms. Weinstein. Follow that with calendar number 18. That's by Ms. Weinstein on page 7. And we'll conclude this group of bills. We have more to do, but we will conclude this group with calendar number 26 on page 8 by Ms. Rosick.
Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 162, calendar number 10. Ms. Weinstein, an act to amend the Family Court Act.
Ms. Weinstein on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. By way of introduction for the package of bills that we'll be taking up now as part of our Domestic Violence Day, as many here know, for over 2 decades, the State Assembly has worked to protect victims of domestic violence and their children. We've made significant reforms in our state law, including most recently instituting the statewide address confidentiality program for victims of domestic violence, requiring the removal of firearms from the hands of perpetrators of domestic abuse when there's substantial risk to the victim, reaffirming that victims cannot be prosecuted for violating their own orders of protection, and adding economic abuse to our laws as a form of domestic violence. There are nonetheless ongoing and new challenges that victims of domestic violence face that prevent them from leaving their abusers or doing so safely. So we will be taking up today, as part of our domestic violence prevention package, a number of measures that will help strengthen our state's response to intimate partner violence, including the bill before us, that I'll get to in a moment, also legislation that enables domestic violence victims to recover non-economic damages in negligence cases from all wrongdoers that have been found liable for injuries to victims, A260, a bill that also sponsoring that prohibits discrimination, against victims of domestic violence in employment situations and requires the employer to make reasonable accommodations. Two bills by Ms. Rosick, a bill that would permit domestic violence victims to cancel their telephone and cable contracts without incurring a fee. An additional bill that permits domestic violence victims to be released from a wireless telephone family plan account without penalty if in an instance of domestic violence. A bill by Mr. Levine that would require hospitals to establish policies and procedures to aid victims of domestic violence. Mr. Simberwitz's bill that would require health insurers to provide victims of domestic violence with the option of providing alternative contact information. Mr. Aubrey's legislation that would provide judicial discretion in sentencing and resentencing defendants who are domestic violence victims that have committed certain offenses. A bill by Ms. Paulin that requires the surrender of weapons following a conviction in certain misdemeanor cases. Mr. O'Donnell's bill enacting the Domestic Violence Escalation Prevention Act that would make it illegal for perpetrators of domestic violence offenses to possess a firearm. Another bill that I'm sponsoring that simplifies the notification of rights and resources provided to domestic violence victims, and a bill by Mr. Bronson that extends the judicial hearing officer referee program to hear and determine certain applications for orders of protection in family court. It's a long list of legislation that's essential to assist victims in New York State to separate from abusive and often violent situations in a safe manner. As for the bill before us, we have had this legislation before. It would require interpreters that are already appointed by the court on a case to translate the essential terms of an order of protection issued in family or criminal court on the record at the direction of the court. This measure is clearly intended to assist non-English speaking or hearing impaired individuals understand the essential terms and conditions of a temporary or final order of protection issued by the court, and should be able to help improve the safety of the victim in that case. And I would urge its adoption. Thank you.
Read the last section.
This act shall take effect on the 90th day.
Clerk will record the vote. Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 101, noes 0.
The bill is passed.
Assembly 260, calendar number 16, Ms. Weinstein, an act to amend the civil practice law and rules.
Read the last section.
This act shall take effect on the 60th day.
Clerk will record the vote. Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 90, noes 11.
The bill is passed.
Assembly 272, calendar number 18, Ms. Weinstein, an act to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
This act shall take effect on the 90th day.
Clerk will record the vote. Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 97, noes 0.
The bill is passed.
Assembly 326A, calendar number 26, Ms. Rosick, an act to amend the general business law.
Read the last section.
This act shall take effect immediately.
Clerk will record the vote. Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 101, noes 2.
The bill is passed. Mr. Morelli.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before we go on to the next grouping of bills, I want to just interrupt for a very special introduction. On behalf of Ms. Simotis, Ms. Cook, Ms. Nolan, and all the members from Queens, including yourself, we're delighted to welcome the Queens County Bar Association to our chambers this afternoon. And the bar, in addition to providing wonderful work on behalf of the people needing legal services in Queens County and resources for lawyers and others, the Bar Association sponsors and organizes a wonderful trip to show the young scholars of Queens County how our state government works. And if I could just take a moment to acknowledge some of the individuals who've organized this trip. First of all, we're joined by Honorable Daniel Lewis, Justice of the Supreme Court of the State of New York, by Mr. Richard Johnson, who's the court attorney to Justice Lewis. Arthur Terranova is the executive director of the Bar Association, and Kristen Dubowski-Barba, who is the foreclosure staff attorney for the Queens Volunteer Lawyers Project. We're delighted to have them. I also want to acknowledge we have about 20 students, and they come from various high schools around Queens County, and if I can just acknowledge those high schools that sent them, Christ the King High School, the High School of Applied Communication, Hillcrest High School, Maspeth High School, Queens Vocational and Technical High School, St. Francis Prep, Thomas Edison Career and Technical High School, Townsend Harris High School, and the William Cullen Bryant High School. And I know that all the members of your delegation are very excited to have them and grateful for their work, and want to wish all the very best to these young people who have joined us and are observing our deliberations this afternoon, sir.
Certainly, on behalf of Ms. Nolan, Ms. Cook, Ms. Simotis, the rest of the Queens delegation, the Speaker, and all the members, we welcome both the Queens Bar here for the extraordinary work that they do on a regular basis, and these extraordinary students who have joined us here in the New York State Assembly. This is the People's House. We hope that you will have enjoyed this day and will enjoy the proceedings as we continue our debate. Thank you so very much for being here. Mr. Morelli.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I can now give the next set of bills as part of our domestic violence package. We're going to go to page 10 of the main calendar, take up calendar number 59 by Mr. Levine, followed by calendar number 203 on page 19 by Ms. Paulin. We'll follow that with calendar number 242 by Mr. O'Donnell, which is on page 21, and then move to page 40 for calendar number 454 by Ms. Rosick.
Before that, Ms. Corwin for an introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to interrupt the proceedings. Our colleague, Will Barkley, has a very, very special guest here in the chamber. The very distinguished Ambassador Doug Barkley is here with us today. Ambassador Barkley was the ambassador to El Salvador under President George W. Bush, but he was also a state senator from 1964 to 1984. He also happens to be Will Barkley's father. He's also accompanied here today with Garrett Bracey, who I am told is the river master for the Douglaston Salmon Run. And I am told it is where the best fishing in the United States is. So if you could please extend the cordiality of the House to Ambassador and his good friend, Garrett Bracey.
Certainly, on behalf of Ms. Corwin, the Speaker, and all the members, we welcome these distinguished guests here to the New York State Assembly. Ambassador and Mr. Barkley and son, we certainly are pleased to have you here. You are always welcome here. You are family. Please return as often as you can, and I'd love to take up fishing too. But please come on and join us. Thank you so very much. Clerk will read.
Assembly 1232A, Calendar 59, Mr. Levine, an act to amend the public health law.
Read the last section.
This act shall take effect January 1st, 2017.
Clerk will record the vote. Things that Dove is important.